edition. Home Gadget Geeks. Let's see, 409 show. It's July 18th, 2019. And catching this any other time than 8 p.m. in the Central Time Zone, it means you have caught the recorded version. And that's okay. Hang tight. We're a few minutes of pre-show just as we gather the live audience. And so hang tight. If you're listening live, let me know. I can't see if you're checked in or not. So check in the chat room. Good to see you out there. I got Mark with me tonight. We're going to be talking a little food. You might want to grab a little dinner before you start listening to us. Otherwise, you'll be hungry by the end for sure. Always are. And looking forward to spending some time talking about grill tech. A little bit of just a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So hang tight. We'll get started here in a second. Good to see you, Joe, Justin, Ken, Ryan, Andrew. Good to see you guys in the chat room out there. We'll get started here in just a few minutes. If you're listening live on Spreaker, I want to welcome you as well. Mark just closed out his browser, or he was telling me, I hope that's not the case. He was telling me before Windows was trying to do an update on him, and I wonder if it just rebooted him. So we will give Mark a second to come back. There he is. Did you close your browser?
No, I hit the login button.
Oh, login.
Hit login in the top right corner.
Yeah.
Do that. It kicks you off of.
Don't forget to bring your screen share back up. So we've got that. We got that available when we go.
There you go.
When we go live. I'll tell you when I see it. All right. Cool. That's cool. Thanks for those of you who are a few minutes ahead of schedule. Mark, you don't smoke any cigars, do you?
Rarely.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not something I do on a regular basis.
Do it for work when you have to?
Do it usually when I'm down south.
Okay.
Spend the entire day outside, and you're sitting around having a gin and tonic or something at the end of the day. And some people have gone down with are big cigar smokers. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a little bit of a vice for me. I'm kind of enjoying it, so I need to make sure I don't. I got to try one tonight. I haven't tried before. A buddy of mine's in town, and he was like, "Hey, you want to go smoke a cigar?" I was like, "Yeah." So they had I've been a big fan. Drew Estates has a Java, what's called Java brand, and they're box pressed. This was a really small one, so it was not your typical. I think buy the size 5, and this had to be like a 4. And it was probably maybe 40 or 50 centimeters long. It wasn't very long. And I hadn't tried that. They had what's called a red, and I hadn't tried it yet. So gave it a try tonight. Smoked in 45 minutes. It was pretty nice. It was light. It wasn't, I didn't walk out of there like, sometimes when you got the big heavy ones.
Yeah. And because I'm not a smoker, I tend to go for the lighter ones anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think with the market the way it is today, I think they're making more and more lighter flavored kind of, not quite the. I ordered some. I showed them on the show a couple weeks ago, and holy cow, they yikes, like it was strong.
Well, I think cigars are gonna be just like everything else, that there's such a market now for. If it's wine or beer or barbecue, or they're tailoring, because you can get such a small market, you can do something so craft based. They'll tailor everything that has a audience willing to pay for it to certain demands. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's the cigar market is actually really affordable right now if you buy them online. If you buy them in the store, you're going to pay 3 times probably what you get online. So typical cigar, I could get a Java brand, a Drew Estates Java for probably $4 a stick online. And then you're going to pay $12 in the store for it. So markup's pretty severe if you're doing it at a cigar shop, but doing it at home is pretty reasonable. The ones I buy for the kids, when we do poker night, those are like $2 a stick. And I found some that were 88 cents a stick. And I thought, that's probably too cheap.
I used to smoke ones when I went to the bar when I was a kid called Colts. And they're wine tipped cigars. I'm not sure if they still have them or not.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of, Justin in the chat room says he has a bunch of now aged flavored that I don't want. Next time I'm in the U.S., I'll send them to you." And I said, "Deal, Justin. Yeah, I'm okay. We had one that was kind of a straight, just robust." And I was like, "Wow, it's the first time I'd smoked since I smoked a Cuban. It was pretty robust." And I was like, "Oh, I better take my time on this one."
Have you seen the chat through Yahoo or through?
No, so go to my live page. So go to the average-guy.tv/live. There's a link below the video window to take you to the YouTube page.
Okay.
Go to the YouTube page, and I see you there. Go to the YouTube page, and then the link or the chat is tied to the YouTube page. You can pop it out of there. Don't play it because you'll hear an echo.
You should pull that up.
You finding it?
I've been there before. It didn't pop it up this time for some reason. I just have to go back to it. Hang on. There you go.
Oh, wait for you. Yeah.
Mute. There you go.
Yep. Or just you can pop the chat out. There's 3 buttons on the upper right hand side. You can pop that out. Yeah.
Close that window.
And then close us out. So there we go. There you go. Now you're back to it. If you're just joining us, Ron, good to see you out there. Ron, Justin, Joe, Ken, Ryan, Andrew. Saw him earlier. Welcome, guys. We'll get started here in just a second. We're just a few minutes after the top of the hour, so we'll get started here in just a second. So, yeah, I keep this Java brand was one of the very first ones I tried, and I really liked it. But I felt like, well, maybe I should try a couple other just to kind of see, what else is out there. And I found another Drew Estates called the Tabic, and I really like it. They're coffee infused, not flavored, but coffee infused. And then I haven't found anything I really like. I've done half a dozen to a dozen beyond that. I'm like, So, I hate to say maybe the first ones you try are the ones you stick with, but I don't know. Those are the ones I enjoy the most, and that's really what it's about, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So Justin said,
Drew Estate Cuba.
Yep. Drew Estate is it's a pretty good brand. I like it. They've gotten kind of knocked for being kind of the boutique kind of pop brand, but I like them. They seem to work for me. So I just got to be careful. I do everything in excess, so I just got to be careful. I don't do anything slow.
I was talking to my dad last night. He's 75. And he bought a house in October that he could live in, and now it's down to the studs, the entire house.
Oh,
and he said he doesn't do anything halfway. He said if they bought the house and didn't need any work, he would have been fine. But once he got into it, every single wall is now missing drywall, new roof. But they'll have the house they want.
Yeah. Justin, I'll have to give those a try. He's recommended the Undercrown series, so I'll have to give those a try. I've been a big Drew Estates fan so far. Kind of like it. I've heard some folks knock it, but all right. I think I'm going to do this thing. Mark, you ready to go?
Yep.
All right. We're just a few minutes after the hour. Why all of a sudden am I getting all these corrections on my notes? All right. Let me do this thing. This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks show number 409, recorded on July 18th, 2019. Here at Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios here in a super, super hot. We've had 100 mark. I can't do this in Celsius, but it's been 100, 101, 102, hot again tomorrow, super hot. You guys getting the heat up there in Canada?
We're in a heat warning right now. It's 91 tomorrow. Feels like 106. 91 Saturday feels like 108.
Oh, yikes. A lot of humidity. You guys get a lot of humidity. I think you're in the same plains as we are, right? You're just farther north?
Yeah. We're one time zone different. We got 15 degrees of humidity right now. Scheduled for tomorrow.
15. That's not too bad.
It's enough. It's not. We're not into the bad stuff yet.
Yeah.
So Celsius, it's going to be 33, feels like 41. The bad days are when it's sort of 38, feels like 49.
Yeah.
Which is like
that's a lot of humidity.
And it's over 100 without humidity.
Right. Are you guys Eastern or are you
Eastern.
Mountain? You're Eastern. Okay. So
Yeah.
you're farther to the east than we are. Well, we will post a show. I know I told you last week I'd have transcripts for you, but for some reason, the longer version of the transcripts, we kind of broke otter.ai, and I didn't know if it was the week, and I messed around with it all weekend, and I couldn't get it working right, and it was doing some weird things with the timestamps, and I didn't know if it was me, it was them. I submitted a ticket. I never got it working, and then of course the week started, and I never got it done. So we'll try again for this week. Full show notes. We'll have a full copy of the transcripts if you want to go out and see them. I've gotten some really good feedback on it, so you can get it at theaverageguy.tv. In this case, go theaverageguy.tv/HGG409. We'll get you there as well, and love to have you do that. Don't forget, you can listen to us on our mobile app, a great way to listen. Tonight, I'm going to be honest, Mark's going to show a ton of pictures, so you may want to either go and if maybe you've already subscribed to the RSS feed for the video, if you've done that already, you can watch it that way, or catch us on YouTube, and it's a great way to do it. While you're on YouTube, just hit the subscribe button. That way, every time I post a video, you get notified. You don't have to come and get it, but it's the easiest way to know. It also shows up in your alerts and all that other stuff when it goes. So it's just kind of a great way to stay on top of it. And a link to that is in the show notes as well. Don't forget as well to join us in our Discord group if you want to do that. theaverageguy.tv/Discord. All right, Mark Robson is back with us tonight. Mark, thanks for saying yes and coming on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Good to have you. We don't have Mike Howard with us tonight. Sadly, Mike is very, very sick. He announced, and I mentioned this at the end of the show, but I wanted to just announce it up front. Mike's a good friend of the show and has done a lot and come on a lot. And I think over the last 3 years, Mark has always been your partner for this kind of twice annual segment that we do around grilling. But Mike has gotten cancer, and he's had this before. If you guys remember, he had this on the back of his head, and they removed it and thought he was done. And that same form of cancer has returned to other parts of his body. So Mike, he's being very forthright about it on Facebook, by the way, no secret here. And I'm just saying what I've seen him post to his public sections on Facebook. But Mike, we're pulling for you. He probably doesn't have time. He starts chemo tomorrow, I think. Mark is what he said. So the first one's not as bad. It gets worse from what I understand from there. And but I think very beatable, and we're pulling for you all the way, Mike. So do well and heal up, and hopefully we'll get him back. Maybe by this time next year, he'll be all healed back up and back on the show. Mark, when I pinged you about this, you said I haven't really bought much gear. And then we started talking about it, and you had probably bought some gear.
I bought some.
You've bought some gear associated with it. First off, you've taken, I asked you, you took a few classes. And you're like, yeah, a few. How many do you think in the last year or two, how many classes have you participated in around grilling?
17, 16. I've taken 13 through one company and 4 through another.
And are most of them just cooking? Is that what you go to do to kind of learn how to do it? Or
well, the four that I took. So if you see the picture right now, there's the joke about the apron. This is the most expensive apron I've ever bought, because this is what I got after taking 12 classes at about $120 a piece.
So it's a pretty expensive apron.
It's a pretty expensive apron. Yeah. Fantastic classes. These things are they're 3 to 4 hours a class. They're licensed, which up here means that they actually serve you beer and wine as you're cooking. So when you figure it's $125, it's a 3-hour class. They're feeding you. You never walk away hungry, and you're getting booze at the same time.
Yeah,
it's not a bad night out.
It's kind of a date, right? I mean,
it's kind of a date for yourself.
Yeah. Kind of nice to. Do you ever take the other one along with you?
We've done 2 classes together, I think, and we've done a Valentine's Day class.
Nice.
So they had a Valentine's Day dinner, which was like a full gourmet dinner that you cook together. Yeah. I think there was 10 people doing that, and I made a comment to the chefs afterwards. There was way too much food. There was so much food that we couldn't. You're just rolling out of there. So
we checked in with the local community college last time we had you on the show last spring or fall. I can't remember if we had you in the spring or not, but I checked into the community college because I thought for my anniversary I was going to do that. And man, I waited, I was checking 4 or 5 weeks out and I had waited too long. Everything, we have this great brand new culinary school through our local community college. I mean, brand new building. They are really working it there at the community college. So if you're thinking about, you're listening tonight and you hear some great recipes and you're like, man, how can I take advantage of this in my area? One, check your local community college. They may be offering some of these classes. But Mark, they were full. Like I couldn't get in until like this was January. I couldn't get into like May. I was like, oh, this doesn't work. Pretty popular, right?
It's getting to be. The Ottawa classes aren't as busy as the Toronto classes. Toronto is 4 times the size of the people, so the stores down there tend to be busier. But like I'm just looking to find. If you pull up the screen again, I'll show you a couple of meals a couple of the dishes we had at the. So that was one dish we had, which was I think lobster tails and steak, fresh mackerel or fresh fish. I can't remember what the fish was. This is all for the Valentine's Day dinner. Chicken and a fresh salad that we made. Dipped chocolate, strawberries, and then they did the whole thing up a little. That's our neighbors that did it with the class. But it was like it was a 4-hour class, I think, for that, and I think it was $250
each, or
no, per couple
for the couple. Yeah, that's pretty. I mean,
Canadian.
Yeah. Well, okay.
So
yeah. So $200 US, maybe, right? Right. If you think about it that way.
Little bacon wrap breeze to start off with. I think the 3 appetizers, 4 proteins, and 2 salads or something. It was just huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, and you mentioned almost too much food. You get to take some home if you.
Not that one, but other ones. Like I've had other class where I took home a half pound of steak cooked because they had 15 pounds of meat for 8 people.
Yeah. So
it's it's good.
Gadget wise, I'm gonna have to. I need to schedule some. It's a reminder. I think maybe I'll start scheduling them for the fall. My daughter will go back to school. It'll just be the 2 of us. I think I'll start scheduling them for the fall. To do that, you picked up a portable wood-fired outdoor pizza oven recently.
Yeah.
Have you been firing pizza other ways, or?
I've done them. Well, the picture's up. I'll see if I can find them. This was homemade pizza on my Acorn. I've had my Acorn hot enough that it actually burnt the wood handles off the bottom of the ash pan. That was another night we did fresh pizza on the Acorn. So that thing's getting to 700-800 degrees. Yeah. Fresh dough from a local Italian bakery that you can go by there and buy fresh dough already made up, and you make your own pizzas. That's not one. I'm trying to find my pizzas. There we go. That's another one that we made from scratch. And I have a friend that owns a guy I know in Picton, which is near us, owns a winery, and he's a certified pizzaiolo from Naples. And he was actually looking at my pizza and saying, that looks good. He says, you just need to get a little bit hotter to be able to get it perfect. And this guy has a 1500 Fahrenheit pizza oven.
So the one you've picked up, is it Uni?
Uni, yeah.
OONI 3 portable.
So the one I have is a 2. They changed it a little bit.
Okay.
Those sell in Canada. They sell for about $500 a piece. I had picked up a pizza kit for my Weber kettle that I hadn't used yet, and I saw this guy selling this pizza grill or pizza oven for $200. And I'm like, yeah, $200. I don't need it. I already have a pizza grill for my Weber. I already do pizzas on my Acorn. And then 2 weeks later, he's selling for $50. I'm like, okay, forget it. I gotta get it. So we did pizzas a couple weeks ago. They're not showing up yet in the feed.
That's okay. Here, I'll throw them up for you. There you go.
Yeah, the recent food. So it just we just got some little pre-made crusts and we tossed them into the thing, and that pizza was cooked in 90 seconds.
Wow.
So it's 800 and some odd degrees when you're cooking it.
Mm-hmm. That's off this wood-fired pizza oven?
Yeah. And about
where do you put the wood in at?
So if you want to pull that picture back up again, the link you just had.
There we go.
So you see where that handle is at the back?
Yeah, here.
No, keep going the other way.
That one?
Nope. Keep going down. Okay, the handle at the back.
Hold on. There we go. Handle in the back.
I'm trying to move my. I'm trying to show it my mouse, but it's not working. So you have a wood handle at the front, and you have a big smokestack at the front.
Yeah.
And then at the back of the unit, you have a little wooden handle sticking up.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the wood pellets go in.
Okay. Oh, it's pellet fired.
It burns pellets.
Okay.
So you light the pellets back there. The flame goes forward, goes up and across the top of it, and goes out the stack at the front.
Okay.
And it uses probably a pound of pellets over a half-hour cooking. So that's not that bad.
But you could, I mean, for one pizza, is it worth it to fire it up for one pizza? I mean, that's all. It seems like a lot of work just for it to cook for 90 seconds.
I'm gonna fire it up when I want to do what I want to do, right? It's if we're making a special night of it and making all homemade pizzas, we'll do it. The other night I fired up a Traeger and put a frozen pizza on it. So it took it 25 minutes or so, but it was
right.
But you fire this thing up when you want the good pizza.
Okay.
Like when we take the time to make our own homemade crust, and it doesn't take long to cook it. It takes 15 minutes, but it's more the experience, right?
Yeah. Well, and the taste too. I mean, it's
phenomenal.
Wood-fired pizza is really, really good.
Yeah. Now, when we cook on the charcoal acorn, we're still getting wood-fired pizza too.
Right.
But that was taking an hour and a half to get up to that temperature. Like I would let that thing run. Anybody who has an acorn knows that these things run hot, and I would just let this thing run flat out for an hour and a half to get that temperature. But it made beautiful pizzas.
And the Uni 3, I'm seeing $275 here in the U.S. shipped.
Yeah,
shipped. I love it says shipped mainland U.S.
Well, they come from UK, right?
Are they?
I think the site's it's a European company. It's either I thought it was Sweden, but the site pulled up today was UK something.
Can you run any pellets in it, or do you have to buy special pellets to get it done?
Anything you can find.
Okay. And do you have a flavored? Do you do flavored ones or just straight pellets? I'm
on a Facebook group that we do a lot of discussions about air quotes sort of like heating pellets versus non-heating pellets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The grill manufacturers want you to use their pellets the same way that HP wants you to use their ink.
Right. Traeger's famous for this, right?
Every single one of them is.
Yeah. Okay.
The issue you run into is North America tends to be very lawsuit happy. So everybody's trying to sue somebody over something. There is not one definition of food grade in the government handbooks anywhere. So in the food FDA or in the forestry manuals, there's no definition of food grade pellet. There is definitions on what you need to do for wood pellets, and they have to be virgin wood, and they have all these other stringent rules around them. But there's nothing that differentiates a food grade pellet. So all these people say you can't use heating pellets in pellet grills or pellet devices like this. If you know the source where they come from, so mine come from a hardwood mill. The hardwood mill makes hardwood floors, so they're doing birch and maple and oak and sometimes walnut and sometimes cherry. That's the source of the sawdust they use for the pellets. And then when they go through the pellet to make them, they use pressure it's the lignetics in the wood that actually binds the wood together. Lignin in the wood binds the wood together. And they do that by putting massive, something like 25,000 pounds of force behind this wood sawdust. Wow. That's what binds it together. Yeah. And they use food grade grease on the pellet machine. Okay. So they're not a food grade pellet, but I buy $6 for $6 for a 40-pound bag versus $1.10 a pound.
Yeah. Buy it locally? Do you go to their shop to get it? Is that what you do?
Well, no, there's a mill, and then they ship it. The guys that buy it from are actually they provide pellets to guys who use pellet stoves in their houses to heat the house. Yeah. So they're buying 10 at a time. So I go and buy 240 pounds for $40. And if I'm doing burgers or sausages or dogs or regular stuff, I just throw those into it. If I'm doing a nice brisket, then I'll throw a bag of pecan or cherry or whatever I'm going to. So I do a mixture of both, but it cuts down my pellet cost by half.
Yeah. Yeah. And as much as you use, that makes sense. Andrew says in the chat room, you need 240 volt pellets if it's British and 120 volt if you're in North America. That's good. Andrew.
Yeah. And then metric versus imperial.
Yeah. We got that one. We got that one right there. That's metric pellets. That's super good. That is super good. Do you think Like, so if I'm in Omaha, do you think from a pellet perspective, if I hunted around here, I would find maybe I go to Menards. I can buy big bags of them at Menards, right? Our kind of big box store.
You
I
have
can
Dick's?
find big bags for not a lot here. That's probably the best place to get them, you think?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
If you can get a Dick's Sporting Goods,
Okay.
they're blowing them out for $10 for a 40-pound bag.
Okay.
On a regular basis.
Why would Dick's be? Do they sell grills?
Yeah.
Do they? Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
I don't. Again, I'm not down there, so I don't see it. But I see the deals that you guys get a lot. That's part of the issue up here. So I bought 240 pounds of pellets in April from the States. Brought them over the border. So buying them bulk with a couple other guys, we bought 1.2 tons between 4 guys. Bring them over the border, pay the duty, pay the gas to go down to the border. It was still half the price what I pay from up here.
Oh man!
So I buy, and they're lumberjack pellets. They're a good pellet. They're all hardwood. They're all virgin hardwood. So buying those and then buying the so-called heating pellets that are what everybody else calls a competition blend because they're mostly maple, oak, and can't remember what the third wood is, but it's another, I think it's birch, for just general heat. And if I want to put some flavored smoke onto it, I'll throw in some of my better pellets and a smoking tube, or I put a smoking tube in the link. It reduces I'm buying 600 pounds of pellets a year. Cuts the cost down in half.
Is this the one you're saying you're putting a smoking tube? Is this the one you were talking about? This one?
Yep. So I'll use that with any of my grills to actually do smoking, and I'll also smoke cheese with it. So when it gets to colder temperatures, you fill that up with pellets. Excuse me. And then you put some cheese in it for about 3 or 4 hours in your grill, and any grill.
Oh.
And then you put the cheese in the fridge for 6 weeks or so, and then you have smoked cheese at home.
Okay. But no fire, just the fire that's a part of the.
It just glows like an ember.
Right. Yeah. Just the fire. And now this is one of these because I bought the tube, the amazing tube.
Same idea.
Right.
Yeah.
This is though, because that tube only really lasts when I do turkey. That tube really only lasts an hour, to be honest.
Burns through 12 hours.
Yeah, because it's a long. It's 3 tubes, right?
It's a snake. Yeah.
It's not enclosed, but it's kind of a snake that goes through. So do you just light one end and then
light both, depending how much smoke you want.
Okay.
So if you want a heavily smoked cheese, you can light both of them, have it smoke for 6 hours, and you're done.
Okay. Yeah, and what would if I lit this? What kind of in a typical grill, and it was just this? What kind of temperature would the inside of that get up to typically?
It doesn't. It's non-existent.
Not at all. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might raise the ambient by maybe 10 degrees, but you tend to smoke cheese sort of October, November.
Right.
So I smoked, I think 4 or 6 pounds in mid-November for Christmas. So the trick to it is it tastes bitter when you first eat it. So you smoke it, you freezer bag it, and you put it in the fridge for 6 weeks.
Okay.
So we're definitely going to do it again.
Well, I'll have to, I was, the last experience. So last time Mike Howard was on and you guys, you talked me into the tube, and I set it on the end of the side of the grill when I do turkey, and that it works perfectly. I can't get my grill low enough to really smoke anything else, right? Regular, even just on one side of the burner all the way down, it still just gets a little too warm in there for a lot of things. But I've noticed that tube, especially with the turkey, I do the turkey for 3 or 4 hours, and I have to fill that tube up. In fact, I think we were doing steaks, and I was doing some corn and some other things that were going to be on a while. I put the tube on, took the tube out and set it on top of my deck railing, and didn't even think it's got hot embers in there.
Yeah.
And I left it there for a little bit, and then I was like, oh crap. I noticed, and I picked it up, and it had burnt a nice little divot.
Well, that might be why your tube isn't lasting. It's I'm getting about 4 or 5 hours on my tube.
So you think I'm getting it too hot?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Like if I let mine, the thing will smoke. I don't fill it up all the way. If I'm doing something like ribs and I want to smoke it for the first couple hours when I'm smoking it, because after a certain point, the smoke won't penetrate the meat.
Yeah, just like a 12-inch. I'm talking just like a 12-inch tube, right? You're getting 4 or 5 hours off of it. So
Yeah.
I may be getting that thing too smoky. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think you got too much heat coming from the barbecue.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I gotcha.
So it's making an environment where it wants to burn.
So I probably need to get it higher in the grill somewhere, right?
Yeah, or if you're only using one burner, like how many burners do you have in your grill?
I have two.
So if you okay, how cold can you get it, or how cool can you get it with one burner?
Two and some change.
So maybe? put the one burner on low and put the smoking tube on top of the other burner at the other edge of the grill.
Okay. Or just all the way to the edge.
Yeah.
Right. I put it kind of all the way to the edge. It gets a little air that way, and then it smokes the rest of the grill. Okay. Well, that's good lesson learned, because I've been burning. Like, I get my torch out, get that thing going, blow on. I mean, I really get it, because I'm afraid it's going to go out.
Yeah, it won't. It typically won't.
Yeah,
I've had mine go out once. I usually just set it up with I put a propane torch lying on its side with the flame pointing out to about 5 minutes. Let it get nice and red and hot. Turn the flame off. Let the thing burn for another couple minutes, and then blow it out and put it in.
Okay. Well,
let it go.
Okay, I'll have to give that a try. We're on a little bit of a cooking hiatus with it being so freaking hot outside. This is the amazing smoker hot. So basically, I'd get even more time on this one if I filled that up, lit it at the end, let it just roll through. Basically, what it does, it just gave everybody a seizure by doing that. But okay,
I know guys that take those on a gas grill and put them underneath the grate, not on the opposite side of the hot burner.
Okay.
So you still get your full surface.
It's a good idea. Okay.
Still getting the smoke.
Light it, get it going, put the grate back on top, put everything in there, shut it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And is it a problem? I'm using a traditional grill for this, and it's got openings on the sides and in the back. Is that a problem for the smoke process?
If the classes I've taken, they've done a lot of stuff like that. We've even smoked salmon for we did smoked salmon sausage one time, and we smoked the salmon in one of those grills. The class I'm taking, the class I take, there's 2 charcoal and 1 pellet, and everything else is gas grills. So it's more of a generic grilling classes for the most part than it is a specialized smoker and charcoal class.
Okay.
Partly because there's not enough people doing charcoal and pellet to justify it.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the audience we have, probably 90% of the people don't have a smoker.
Yeah, no, and Mark, I was thinking of buying one of those, $200 cabinet style, looks like a small beer fridge, and they're electric with you use the discs, or I guess some of them are pellet as well, right? I thought about going that direction just to kind of get going. Here's my concern. So I was looking at Traeger's, and I'm like, Uyghur says, okay, you definitely want the largest one you can get. Like, a couple shows ago. That's $1,000. That's maybe $1,300. And I'm thinking, I can't, it's tough to justify that kind of money for, I don't smoke that much.
Buy yourself a Weber kettle.
Yeah.
Because then you can smoke, you can grill, you can play with charcoal again, you can play with fire.
And maybe something like this, if I put this in the middle, right? If I put the smoker in the middle and put the briquettes around it and kept that temperature down, right? I could smoke that way as well, right? On a Weber kettle.
Well, you wouldn't, yeah. So I can do smoking on any of my grills I have.
Right.
So I started off buying an Acorn that a couple of people in the group have. I then went and bought a Weber kettle, which has its benefits over the Acorn. Some disadvantages too. It goes through a lot more charcoal because it's a single layer metal.
Right.
But it's a bigger surface area. So what I do when I'm smoking on the kettle is I put 2 bricks right inside the base of the kettle. I've put a full chimney of charcoal on the backside of the bricks. I toss a couple of wood chunks on top of it, and I have the whole rest of the area for the meat. And the smoke goes up, goes across the meat, and then goes out the vent. So that's the cheapest way to get into smoking is buy yourself a Weber kettle.
Yeah, but I would need something to put the pellets in to smoke with, and then I would be.
No, you buy wood chunks.
Oh, you wouldn't use it that way. Okay.
Yep.
But I could, right? I could do the same thing.
You could. Yeah.
I'd put the pellets down on the very first with the briquettes.
Yep. So you put the and I use lump. I don't use briquettes, but
Okay.
it's personal preference. So
Fine,
if you can
whatever.
picture the round disc of the Weber, I put bricks on one quarter of it, and I put all my charcoal behind that lit. So I take a full chimney, toss all my charcoal behind there, toss whatever wood I want on top of that, or you can put the tray underneath it, and then you use all the rest of your space for your food. And then you just make sure the vent's on top of the food on the back side of the opposite side of the charcoal.
Yeah. So it's pulling up. You would open the bottom vent as well on that, and then pull through,
So it goes up from the bottom. It's going to go through the smoking basket and through the charcoal. Then the smoke, if the smoke's underneath the food, it's going to go directly above it. If the wood chunks are what's causing the smoke, the draft is going to pull it out across and up.
Okay.
When I first started smoking, I had a smaller Traeger, and I didn't have enough room to do all the ribs I was doing for dinner. So I did 2 racks on the Traeger and 2 racks on the Weber kettle.
Well, you've last fall, I almost had a brand new Weber from Target at the end of the season. They were clearancing them out. I saw it. It was the one that in I had been looking locally, $50 to $100. It was so funny. You even found some for me and sent me the links. Hey, get this one. I never did it. Yeah.
Try Facebook Marketplace.
No, right on. Yeah, picking up somebody else's. No, I need to. The question is just kind of been, Sarah's not a big fan of smoke, and I am, and so the demand is just not there all the time, and so it's like, how much am I going to really do this? So it keeps getting me thinking, okay, I just need to figure out a way to do this on my current grill right for me, and I don't need that much space then. And I could actually
use both grills.
Yeah, no, you're a bad influence on me, Mark.
I had a guy at a barbecue class one time. I told him I did a prime rib, and I seared it on my acorn at 450 degrees, and then I put it onto my Traeger and I smoked it at 180 or 190 until it was done. And the guy looked at me and says, "Yeah, but you're using 2 grills then." I said, "Yeah, but I have 4."
So it's only half of them.
I'm only using half my grills. It's irrelevant how many grills I use if the food turns out right.
No, if it turns out great, you just really don't care.
When I do a tomahawk, I smoke it on my Rectech, which is a pellet grill, and then I fire up my acorn and I caveman it right on my coals on the acorn. I use 2 of them for different reasons. The Rectech doesn't do a high heat sear as well as putting it right on charcoal does.
Yeah. Tony says in the chat room, it's like computers. You never can have too many.
Yeah, I have that problem too.
He is probably right. Let's transition a little bit. Let's talk a little food. You've been doing I asked you to kind of bring some recipes to have ready. This is the part of the show I'm going to just full-time switch over to your to kind of your pictures, Mark. But you've done some really delicious things. The very first one on the list is pork belly Asian noodle salad. That doesn't sound like a grill dish, but apparently it is.
The pork belly was. So I cooked the pork belly on the. I should have done an album of pictures, but I didn't know which pictures were going to.
No, that's okay. That's all right.
So that was tonight's dinner, and that was that's Asian noodles with some ready-made bagged broccoli slaw, but on top of that is chunks of pork belly that we cooked for 7 hours on Sunday, and then made it just with a peanut sauce. So you can find all sorts of recipes for peanut sauce and a little bit of Asian cilantro, and it was. I told my wife tonight, it's a barbecue dish that doesn't taste like barbecue.
Yeah, no, delicious. When you think about, okay, so you said 7 hours on Sunday.
Yeah.
So you obviously got to plan this out a little bit, right?
I didn't. I pulled it out of the freezer at 8 o'clock in the morning, put it on the frost plate for an hour, tossed them on frozen, waited till I could actually pull them apart because they were frozen together. So I cooked them until I could pull them apart, brought them in the house, seasoned them up, put them back on the grill for another 5.5 hours.
And when you say put it back on the grill, which grill did you put it on?
Traeger pellet grill.
Which
is an outdoor oven.
Yeah, right. So you're outside, right? Or it's running outside, right?
It's running outside. I went and did groceries. I went for a bike ride.
Yeah, you're comfortable enough just letting that thing run. So on the Traeger, you're going to set a temperature, right? So in this case, you're going to set it to about 200.
250, I think it was.
Okay.
225.
And just let it go for 7 hours, basically. Okay.
And then probe it about 5-6 hours in to see what temperature is, and it was about 190-ish, and pulled it off when it's 205.
That's what I got to get better at, is my internal temp for the grill. So in my grill, the temperature thing is at the top, but
Yeah,
that's
you can't use that.
yeah. You really need a grill level temperature, don't you?
You want to put the temperature. If you're cooking to a temperature, you're cooking at a temperature, you need to know what the temperature is at the food.
Right. Okay.
Which is why, so my basic
typically hotter at the grill than it is at the top.
No, the other way.
Okay, so it's cooler at the grill than it is.
The heat rises.
Okay.
So the one I use all the time, my go-to grill is my go-to thermometer is called a ThermoWorks Smoke, and we talked about it before online. Yep. Got 2 probes with it. My mouse is going a little crazy here. It comes with 2 probes, so you can have a meat probe and a grill probe, or you can have 2 meat probes, and then my RecTech has 2 probes built into it as well, plus a grill height temperature. So on the RecTech, I actually have 3. I can do 2 different meat probes and the temperature of the grill measured inside the grill, plus the temperature you're setting the grill to. So
and do you cook in Fahrenheit or do you cook in Celsius?
Fahrenheit.
Oh,
the only people that really cook in Celsius are the UK.
Okay,
they use Gasmark and like Gasmark 4, which is like 300 Celsius or 250 Celsius, which is like 500 Fahrenheit. Yeah. So our temperature outside is always measured in Celsius.
Yeah, but cooking, you're cooking in Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pools, you'll find people do both.
Okay.
My work thermometer is set at Fahrenheit, but my home thermometer is set in Celsius. So we're a real mix.
It is a mix for you guys. So you're probably a little bit better converting than we are, you know?
Yeah, I think we have to be.
Andrew says Celsius for the win. I think Justin is cooking in Celsius too, but okay.
None of our stoves or anything is in Celsius.
Right.
I think Europe's
like North America, right? North America would be this in this case for cooking. North America would be in Fahrenheit,
and
Europe.
UK has nothing to laugh at us about because they have everything is metric except for miles. Like really? You go over there, it's a 55 mile an hour speed limit.
Oh, from their vehicles?
For the vehicles.
So it's crazy. Crazy world. And then Andrew says, and pints too. They drink in pints. So, but that goes back because they've been drinking beer longer than anybody for sure. So.
And that's the other thing. Like we have 750 milliliter bottles up here, but everybody knows they're 26ers. They're 26ers and 40s and Mickeys, and we don't go by.
Well, that's because Canada's traditionally bought a lot of American alcohol, and I think that stuff just traveled with it, right?
And 750 worked out nicely to 26 ounces, right?
Yeah. And Andrew says our pints are larger than yours. that's super great.
I was in Prague a couple of years ago, and they had liter beers at the bar. Sign of liter beer.
Oh, man. It's like a boot. That is like a boot of beer. Yikes.
So there's a brisket I did up on the screen now. That was
let me bring that up for you. There you go.
Our Canada Day weekend.
How big is that brisket?
12 pounds.
Okay.
He weights in Imperial too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important. The so a 12 pounder cooks down to about what do you think?
Well, I trimmed it. When I trimmed it, it went from 12 down to 10 and a half. And we probably got about 8 pounds out of it, depending on how fatty it is.
And how long to cook the brisket?
That one, I tried something different. I started it at 9 o'clock the night before. I had it on smoke until 6 o'clock in the morning, which is 180 degrees. At 6 o'clock in the morning, I turned it from 180 to 250, and then cooked it until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was stuck in a stall for a long time. That the curve was very frustrating because it was just flat. It's going up by like a degree every half hour type thing. It was just not getting in temperature. So at around 2:00, I wrapped it in butcher paper and turned it to 275, and it finished up around 3:30.
Why did you wrap it in butcher paper?
To try and give it a bit of a braise.
Okay.
It's not an overly braise. It's not sealed tight. It's just it helps some of the moisture stay around to help it cook a little faster.
Okay. So for heat purposes, then basically.
Yeah, okay. And to retain some of that moisture, so it starts to start steam it a little bit.
Yeah. And do you just keep butcher paper around?
I bought it for it.
Okay.
It's one of my many.
Is it on a roll?
Yeah.
Okay.
I bought. I think it's 100 yards or something.
You just buy it. Did you buy it at where would you buy butcher paper? I mean, we get. Oh, yeah. Why not?
I think it came from the States. It was Amazon.com that shipped to Canada.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we get it. When we get our meat at Fairway here in town, they wrap it up in plastic and then in butcher paper. The butcher paper is surely aesthetic at that point. It doesn't. The plastic's doing the job. But
I use it for brisket. Sometimes I use it also. Mostly I use it for beef ribs. I tend to wrap my beef ribs when they're getting close to being done. I think that's these guys. Yeah. So when those are getting finished up, I'll wrap those up. So those are like 7-hour beef ribs.
And typically, so if I were to, for my grill, if I were to have a minimum temperature that I needed to be able to get it to at the grill level for smoking like this, what would be the minimum?
250.
Okay.
If
I can get it as cool as 250 at the grill level, indirect?
Yeah.
250? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you don't need to be. The way you do indirect on a gas grill is you put the meat on the opposite side of the burner.
That's what I'm. Yeah. So I would measure on the indirect side. Right?
Yes.
I would, wherever I'm going to put the meat is where I would measure. But if I could get the temperature lower, maybe like 180 or 175, that'd be okay too.
Yeah, it's going to take you a lot longer to cook.
Yeah.
The reason I cook at 180 on that brisket, it was on the Rec Tech, when you put it to 180, you get what's called super smoke. So it varies the fan speed. Okay. So you actually hear it ramping up and ramping down, and it's generating more smoke from the pellets.
Okay.
When you get into 250, that super smoke cycle doesn't work anymore. So it's the first 9 hours were just for smoking.
Okay.
At 180.
So 250 would be between 2 and 250 would be optimal if I were gonna at grill level, if I were gonna be able to do it off my grill.
Yes.
Okay. It's good. No, that's good. That gives me something to shoot for. I've got one of those. I could take one of those thermometers that I have that's made to go, a probe that's made to go in an iGrill. Yep. I could just set that on the grill, right? And okay.
One trick is to use a potato.
Oh, put it in the potato?
Yeah, chop a potato in half.
Okay.
Stick the probe through the potato and have it poking at the other side.
Okay. And then how long would I run it? 20 minutes to kind of get to get up to temperature?
Yeah, it's going to vary depending on the outside temperature and the wind conditions, but it should stabilize fairly.
Okay, these guys can't stop talking about beer in the chat room.
We're gonna need to have a show on beer.
Super. We should. Well, I had a guy who does an alcohol. He does Shots of History, which is about the history of alcohol, at least, especially here in the United States. And I wanted to get him on to talk about all the technology that goes into brewing. So maybe at some point we'll get that done. So the brisket. Now you got some. These are beef ribs that you're showing right now.
Yeah, beef ribs are probably my favorite thing to do right now. I did some.
And why? Why?
The flavor. They're like brisket. They're done in a fraction of the time. They're easy to do. They're pretty much maintenance free. I did a batch as a thank you to my right here. So just after Christmas, we went to Mexico for a week, and our dog sitter, they don't like taking money for looking after our dogs, so they like our dogs. So we try and give them something in return. So before I left, I did up 19 pounds of beef ribs for them. So that was filled my little cooker, and that's the lasagna pan. Like that's a big lasagna pan.
Yeah,
and it filled the tray, and each bone is about a pound.
It's delicious.
Yeah. So we asked when we got back, and there's if you think about like you get a steak, you get two different types of fat on it. You got some fat that renders down and gets all nice and soft and juicy and flavorful, and you get the other stuff that's almost like a grizzle that doesn't get rid of itself. This is full of the really juicy, tasty stuff, and none of the, if you trim them right, none of the stuff that doesn't disintegrate. So we had some a few months ago. We did some for some friends that came over, and I warned them. I said it's going to be a little juicy on the inside from the fat. There wasn't a single drop. Like everybody ate every single piece of meat on the bones. There's nothing left.
It sounds delightful. How long were those in again? Tell me.
7 hours at 275.
So put them in first thing in the morning and eat them that evening, or do you cook them the day before and eat them the next day?
Do them same day. So put them on 10 o'clock, off by 5. Wrap them in foil if you want to keep them going, and have dinner.
Do you have to baste them in the open? What do you do? What's the prep work that you do while those are on there?
These guys, I keep on clicking the wrong screen. So those, I reference in my show notes a powder called SPG, salt, pepper, garlic from Suckle Busters. And there's something about the garlic that they do that makes it, when it hits some moisture, it just makes into like a garlic paste on the meat, and it's just fantastic. So rub those with SPG, toss them onto the grill. Because I loaded it up so much and there was some overlap, I moved them around a couple of times, but other than that, I didn't touch them. No basting, no mopping. Put them on the grill and come back 7 hours later.
Wow. No basting, just let them. Don't even turn them?
I did for this one because of the fact that the way they're stacked, you want to make sure you get enough airflow to all the different sizes of meat.
Okay.
So, and they shrank down. So when I first put them on, the meat was actually out to the edge of the bones.
Mm-hmm.
So I moved them around just to my big grill that could have easily done them was buried under 3 feet of snow. I didn't want to shovel it out. My small grill, which I used from the winter, was accessible, but it got filled up. So I put them on after a couple hours and moved them around just so I had more airflow to everything, so that they all got nice and browned.
I am definitely setting up a test this weekend to test the low point on my grill. By the way, in the show notes, lots of things. Mark over prepped for this show, and we have a lot of recipes as well as links and some things he's been talking about. The brisket is a line item there in the show notes. He's showing those to you right now on the screen. That's kind of what we work with. By the way, if you want to see behind the scenes of how Home Gadget Geeks work, this is the show notes, right? That we do together. Tomahawk steak sounds interesting to me. I think we talked about this the last time, but what the heck is a tomahawk steak?
It's a ribeye with a bone on.
Okay,
and it's more of a. You'll get people criticizing it, saying you're just going to buy ribeye and it's the same thing, and it is. But it's a. So there's a bit of a story about this one. I'll show you all the pieces, but this is basically a tomahawk steak. That's 3.5 pounds.
And that's the rib coming off the backside, right?
Yeah. So a lot of people say, well, that's just a ribeye with a bone on it, and you're paying for the bone and you can't eat. But it's one of those presentation pieces. Mm-hmm. So that was 3.5 pounds. It was $45. The price in the back is for rib grilling steak. It was $20 a pound, $20 a kilo. So probably $10 a pound. But this steak was. Let me go back a step. The bottle of wine that's in here was a wine that was made by a vineyard that the owner passed away. And this was the last bottle that he made. And when he sold it at the vineyard, it was selling for $35 a bottle. A friend of ours donated that bottle to us for a wine auction to support a dog rescue. We sold that bottle of wine for $850 worth of tickets. It sells at home still for $1,500 a bottle if you can find it.
Yeah.
And some friends of ours won it, and they brought it down to share with us. So we'd had it when I was at the vineyard. The wine tour guide that donated it to us, we all knew. They won it on this auction, and they came back to bring it to share it with us. So I wanted to do a very nice meal for a the bottle's worth $35 when it was originally made, but it's $1,500 bottle of wine now. So I said, well, if you're going to do that, I'm going to bring up a tomahawk. I'm going to do my first tomahawk. So that's the tomahawk. I have better pictures of how I did it. I did 2 of them last year. So that's the tomahawk sitting on my Rectech grill. So that takes up maybe 10% of the surface area. That grill is a huge grill.
So you've got tinfoil going underneath this.
Yeah,
so
on the drip pan.
It's just a drip pan.
Yeah,
basically.
So the way a pellet grill works is you have your fire pot at the bottom where all the flame is and all the heat is. You have a heat deflector, and then you have a drip pan, and then you have your grill grates. So there's no chance. There shouldn't be any chance for flame to hit grease.
So I should think about getting a drip pan if I want to do some of this. I should really think about installing a drip pan.
If you can, great, but that's just how pellet grills are designed.
Okay. Yeah, this is a traditional, gas fired grill, and I've got heat deflectors on it. That's good enough, or should I try to?
If the meat's not dripping onto the heat deflectors, you're fine.
Okay, I probably would, to be honest, but okay.
The pellet grills are designed like this so that you can. I did chicken quarters a couple weeks ago, and I put the chicken quarters on and walked away and came back 45 minutes later and they're done. And there was no flare up because there's no chance for the heat to come up in contact with it.
Yeah. No. And what temperature were you cooking those at?
The chicken?
Yeah.
300.
Okay. So pretty hot.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'll figure a way to rig a drip pan under there, because it does. I don't want to say it flares up, but it's kind of messy.
And if you're trying to do low and slow, you don't want flare ups.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I do get some, especially when I do bacon wrapped asparagus. I definitely get flare ups at that point. So it'd be nice to put a section that had a drip pan on that would, right? If you're going to do bacon wrapped asparagus or something like that, bacon wrapped sirloins.
I can cook bacon right on this thing.
Yeah,
right? Which is something you'd never do with a charcoal grill.
Oh, I have. Trust me.
You need to sit there with a spray bottle and
you do. Yeah.
But this thing, you just lay it. You can fill the entire thing up with bacon, and you don't even worry about it. The grease drips onto the drip pan, goes off to the side into the bucket. So, anyways, this was the beginning, I think, of a 2-hour smoke. That was the end of the 2-hour smoke. It got a really nice mahogany color on it.
Yeah, that does look good. It looks dark. So are you outside? Is it dark outside? Okay.
Yeah. This is 9:00 at night.
Inside temperature on that?
120 Fahrenheit.
That's pretty rare.
Yeah, but it's not done cooking.
Okay. Right. Okay.
This is caveman style.
Oh. Okay.
This is right on the coals. Yeah. I have Kevlar gloves. I put my Kevlar gloves on. I picked the bone up and then flipped it over and flipped it back. And it's sitting right on the coals. And
that freaks a lot of people out, because I've seen Steven Reichland do that.
Yeah.
And it freaks a lot of people out to think, wait a minute, that would be touching the coals would be touching the meat, right?
Yes.
But it does, but it doesn't stick to it, right? Or it does I don't know, talk about that.
The best analogy I ever heard, or the best explanation I ever heard of it, was from the guy that did Good Eats. He's got short blonde hair. He's famous on the Food Network, and I can't remember his name now because I want to say it. But he said all that happens is you get this little bit of ash that makes a wonderful gravy on the meat. So the juice from the meat comes out. There's no room for the fire to start up between the meat and the coals, because there's no room for oxygen to exist between the meat and the coals.
Okay.
So you get very little flare ups unless it's the outside edge of it. Joe's asking for Sky Fieri. It's not him. It's a guy he has glasses. He's about his 50s.
Can you do that on wood coals?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what this is. This is lump charcoal. So this is basically wood coals.
Yeah. But I mean, like if I had just straight wood, not.
Yep.
If I was cooking on wood.
Alton Brown's the guy I'm thinking of.
Okay. Yeah.
That's caveman style. It can be any sort of coal. I just happen to use charcoal because that's what I have, but I could easily have a bed of fire there, like a campfire.
Okay. Wood, just regular standard wood.
Yep.
Right, would be okay. Okay.
So that was done only for like 45 seconds aside. And then you can see it's got a little bit of charring on some of the spots where there's some grizzle. But that's now cooked through. I let it rest for about 5 minutes. That was another really nice bottle of wine from a local vineyard. That served 6 meals.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think, we had that with this lemon parmesan arugula salad and
potatoes,
roast potatoes,
roasted, oven roasted.
Active fry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So this is beef rib before they went into a cooker. So those ones you saw before with the bones ripped back,
Right.
that's how they start out looking, and they shrink down to that point. So that was the same weekend. We had some friends came down. They drove about 5 hours down, and we had a feast for a couple of nights.
Is it good? Or like, is that as good the second day as it is that evening?
The steak.
Yeah,
we made steak fajitas.
Yeah,
Ribeye steak fajitas. It was good.
Yeah. How do you, so you have steak that you've cooked to 130, just say medium rare.
Yep.
And you want to prepare those. So you want to make them for fajitas the next day and you want to warm them up, but you don't want to cook them the rest of the way. How do you do that?
The easy way is with a sous vide.
I was afraid you were going to say that.
But I've done it before when I didn't want to break up I have a sous vide, but I have it packed away in this box. So when I don't want to have to break the thing out, I'll toss it in a Ziploc bag, put it in a pot of boiling water, and keep it on a simmer.
Okay.
It's not an accurate sous vide, but all you're trying to do is warm the meat up without.
Yeah. I guess you could. I never thought of that. I guess you could put a one of those thermometers.
You could use your Weber thermometer.
Yeah.
Just don't get the end of the probe where the wire is wet.
Well, but or if you had one of those traditional meat thermometers that was just metal, right, with the cap on top, right, that would do that. Yep. And then turn the water till you get it to 130, the 135, right, and then just drop it in the water and let it sit for
10 minutes,
20 minutes, maybe. Would you slice it ahead of time?
We tend to do it, or we'll fry it up with just veggies and stuff and just toss it in right near the end.
Okay,
but just getting slowly rolled over.
Yeah, because you really just need it warm at that point, right?
Yeah, it's already cooked.
Yeah, right on.
This video is I bought a Wagyu brisket and I posted the jiggle, and the guy I bought it from, the meat supplier, actually put it on his Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as this is what we want to see our customers do.
That's great. It's the wiggle. So this is something that you're looking for when you explain it.
So the wiggle on the brisket is between the somebody's saying the vegetarian just left. The wiggle is between the flat and the point on a brisket. So there's a layer of fat there that you want to try and keep in the brisket because it keeps it nice and juicy. Yeah. So when you see people actually pick up brisket and they start squeezing it out of it, I have a friend who's a barbecue competitor, and he says it's one of those things that somebody's just killed a little child when you squeeze the juice out of a brisket. He's a serious competitor. He's been grand champion, reserve grand champion. He hosts barbecue contests. He's serious. Yeah. He's like, why do people squeeze the juice, that wonderful juice, out of the brisket?
Yeah.
Leave it in. Yeah. I said, what about the jiggle? He goes, no, jiggle's good. Don't squeeze the juice out.
Well, Andrew says in chat room, he says, as the chat room's token vegetarian, I have to click like on this video podcast. So that's
impressive.
Even though he's the token vegetarian, he's enjoying it as well. So there's to me, Mark, I guess what I've been attracted to is we've been talking about this for the last couple of years. And the way I keep coming back to it from, people are like, how does this relate to a tech podcast? Well, one, I don't care. But two, there's a lot of art as we've talked about some of the recipes you've done. I learn something new every time. You guys challenge me to do new things every time.
Just gadgets.
There's just a lot of art to it, though, as far as how you put it in and the rubs you put on it and temperature and how you cook it. I mean, it's a highly technical thing. It's just not like, throw the briquettes in, throw the meat on top, cook it till you think it's done, pull it off. I mean, that's the way my dad barbecued. That was a Weber kettle and burgers, and some hot dogs that you'd burn. But as we've spent this time really talking about this, I've really kind of grown this appreciation for just having the right gear there to be able to do it right. And then with the tomahawk steak, sometimes you don't need it. Just fire it up, get the thing to temperature, then take it out and sear it right on the, you can just put it right on there.
You could even do that in your oven, right?
Yeah.
You could slow cook it in your oven at 200 degrees until it's 120. Take it out, put it on top of your campfire. You get somewhat the same effect. You won't get a smoke flavor, but you get the same slow roasted, wonderful, juicy piece of meat because you've reverse seared it.
And that could be an easy way to get into ribs too, right?
Yes.
To get them, do the ribs in the oven. Would you cover them or leave them open in convection or regular bake?
The thing about ribs, if you want to get the smoke flavor, you have to smoke them first.
Yeah. Yeah,
but then bake them.
Just say you can't smoke them, but you want to have ribs. You could
Yep.
add flavors to it other ways than smoking, right?
Yeah, you can do different rubs. You can put liquid smoke into a barbecue rub. You could. I find I'm using a lot of suckle busters now for a number of my. I used to make all my own rubs. I still make some of my own rubs, but you tend to make like a rub might have 15 ingredients in it. If I want to just go and get something real quick that I like that's not overly salty, I'll go and buy Suckle Busters rubs for ribs or for whatever I'm cooking.
Yeah, and a lot of meat markets you can pick up rubs that way too, right?
But a lot of those tend to have a lot of salt in them.
Okay.
It's
true.
One trick I've learned is I like to try and layer my rubs, so I'll try and get numerous different flavors in it. So before I put any rub on the meat, I'm tasting the rub to see how much salt it has in it, because you can get away with putting one salty rub on, but you can't put two on it.
Okay.
So if I get a salty one, then I'll look for other ones that are just the raw ingredients, so I don't worry about salting it up.
So if I wanted to do ribs in the oven, would I wrap them first? Bring that. So you're saying oven is maybe 200 degrees, 180 degrees. What would you start ribs at? 150?
250.
250.
Yeah.
Wrap them or open.
That's another huge debate. I don't like wrapped ribs. Okay. A lot of the guys that compete do wrapped ribs. They use what's called a Texas crutch. So they do like 2-2-1 or 3-2-1, which is how many hours per stage. So they'll do like on 3-2-1, it's 3 hours on the grill or in smoke or in your case the oven, then 2 hours wrapped with juice. And they'll put brown sugar and squeezable butter and all this other stuff on it with it. And then 1 hour back in the grill to caramelize the heat with sauce. That gives you ribs that are, you can pull the bone right out of them. That's not what the KCBS want to see for competition rib. They want to have a rib that actually has a little bit of pull to it. And I don't like ribs that the bone falls out. I want to actually have to pull the meat off the bone.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. But you want it to come off.
I want it to come off.
Okay.
But I don't want to have to fight for it, but I also don't want it so you can just pick the rib up and the thing falls apart. And that's hard to get. Getting them like that. I had a set one time that took me 7.5 hours to do. A set of baby back ribs, 7.5 hours at 250. Okay. And I had to crank up the temperature to get them done because there was so much meat on them.
Yeah.
And then the same place the following week, I did more ribs and they were done in 5 hours.
And you knew they were done because of temperature.
You do the break test.
Okay.
So you pick up your ribs with your tongs, and as you start to twist them, if you see the bark starts to break apart, they're done.
Okay.
So you got to start seeing that when it starts to happen, because I do mine all dry. And this is all personal preference.
Right. Yeah.
Some people have it and they're like, I can't stand if they're not 3-2-1 ribs. My wife and I tend to like them that we do them completely dry. And then the last half hour, we'll put some sauce on them. But we've even done them as simple as salt, pepper, garlic, and lemon juice. So salt, pepper, garlic when you cook them, pull them out, sprinkle drizzle lemon juice on them when you're done. Mm-hmm. Very, very simple.
I went and got the other night, my son, which is my oldest, was here. And I said, hey, everybody was out of town. His wife was out of town. My wife was out of town. So it's like, you want to burn some steaks? And he said, yeah. So we went down to Fairway, picked up some bacon wrapped sirloins, really good ones. We got $5 for 8-ounce sirloins, and they were a good price, great pieces of meat. I seasoned them with Mrs. Dash Chipotle seasoning and salt and pepper, of course. So salt and pepper, Mrs. Dash Chipotle. Mark, like, I was pleasantly surprised, as simple as that was, that Chipotle seasoning added a little bit of kick to the steak at the end, just kind of and I didn't even tell Phil I'd done this. This is kind of the test, and he was like, hey, what'd you put on this thing? And I was like, a little Mrs. Dash Chipotle. And he's like, dang, this is kind of good. And so I think sometimes you can even get away with a fairly simple, simple seasoning. It doesn't always have to be complicated.
No, if I do steaks, I only use SPG.
Okay. Yeah.
That's all I use.
Yeah.
Which is salt, pepper, garlic.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, typically I salt and pepper. That's for me.
Yeah.
Salt and pepper works just great. But I was feeling adventurous. I was like, hey, what can I find here? Ooh, this looks good. I never thought about putting a little chipotle. Another, you're going to show something else here in a second, but another buddy of mine said, bring the steaks, cook the steaks in the oven until you get them to that 120 or whatever. Lather them in mayonnaise.
Yeah.
Mayonnaise, like a fatty Hellman's or whatever. And then, have you done that before?
I've done it with chicken.
Okay. He says it's just delightful. This is a guy from India, by the way, who was telling me this. I was like, hey, wait a minute. But apparently, right, that mayonnaise, that fat will caramelize and just really add to the flavor of the meat. That seems a little counterintuitive to add mayonnaise to it, but man, I got to give it a try.
And also on the chicken, I have a friend who does it all the time with chicken and some other meats, but it tends to seal in moisture.
Okay.
So I had to show this. I didn't think I had a picture of it. I just found out when I was looking through the food. I did a search on Google Photos for food, and it popped up. I can't remember when we had this. Was a couple of weeks ago we did this, and this is two of the recipes that are on the show notes. So the top one is burnt end hot dogs. So if you ever heard of brisket burnt ends or pork belly burnt ends, or this is hot dog burnt ends.
So just regular hot dogs.
Regular hot dogs.
Okay. And you made them that way.
Yes.
Okay.
I did this. I didn't make the hot dog, but I made the dish.
Right.
So you basically cook the hot dogs and then you toss them in. You cook the hot dogs with rub. I think you slather them with mustard. You put rub on them, cook them up. Then you toss them into a pan with more rub and barbecue sauce, and you let the barbecue sauce caramelize on it with, depending on the recipe, it's got brown sugar, maple syrup, and honey, and it makes these little wonderful hot dog bites. And it's something that everybody's like, we're not doing hot dogs on like, what are you doing hot dogs in your smoker for? And it was amazing how many, we had this over for a party, and it was amazing how many of those disappeared.
Yeah.
And the one in front of it is bacon wrapped Spam. And this is another one that's in the show notes. And the trick I put on this, I just told people, don't tell people what they're eating until they have it, because they disappeared.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I'm not eating Spam. That's disgusting. And they take a bite and they're like, it literally melts in your mouth. It is, the bacon's nice and crispy. The Spam is nice and gooey. And the thing is just, it was just fantastic.
I know people who like Spam today. They'll eat it. I don't know many, but I think it's gotten a little bit better. Boy, I tell you what, the Spam, whoever makes Spam is really trying to rebring back the image of it. Go to spam.com and you can see some recipes there as well of some things that you can do with it. What does that stand for? What does Spam stand for? Something in ham. It says sizzle pork but that's not what it stands for. I forget. They came up with it during World War II, didn't they, or something like that? Yep. Hormel makes it, the Hormel brand.
It's a UK thing, and then that's what Hawaiians like it. Hawaiians like it so much because it was left over from World War II's rations.
Yeah,
it's one of the things that could actually ship because it shipped easily.
Introduced in 1937 and gained popularity worldwide after its use during World War II. But it's named Spam because it's two things. It's something is it the shoulder of the ham?
Especially preserved ham?
I thought it was like shoulder and ham mixed, the pork shoulder and the ham mixed together or something like that. Something like that. Well, yeah, or spiced ham. Maybe that's what Ron is saying out there as well. I think the deal is they mixed some meats together to make it, to stretch it, or to take a good part and a not so great part.
Yeah.
Not
make
so great.
Make it last longer.
Yeah. Or use the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
In those days, we were we were using everything that came with it. So you're saying, to make the bacon wraps, how big a chunks of Spam are you using for that?
So if you think about the size of a can of Spam, I made cubes up, and I think I made 8 per layer. So you figure out how many pieces if you had to divide the top into 8 pieces, special processed American meat.
Yeah, that's what Joe says. Special processed American meat.
if you had to, if you divide the top, the footprint of a can of Spam into 8 pieces and just make those into cubes. So I think that those 2 bowls in front on the screen right now were 2 cans. So it made about 65 pieces or something, 64 pieces.
Okay. Out of a single can?
No, out of 2.
2 cans. Okay.
There was 8 per layer, and I think I maybe got 4 layers out of a can. And then it was a strip of bacon per can.
In cooking wise, what'd you do with them?
Just wrapped them in bacon, dusted them with rub, and put them on the Traeger for an hour and a bit. Okay. So the bacon's crispy.
Okay. At what temperature?
250-ish.
Okay. Okay.
Again, it's a little labor intensive to make them, but it was, and I can't remember what the event was, but we had some people over and they just disappeared.
Yeah.
But it was another one. We don't tell them what you're eating until you take a bite. And then once they realized how good it was, they didn't care what was inside it.
According to Wikipedia, the Oxford Encyclopedia of Food and Drink in America states that the product was intended to increase the sale of pork shoulder. Got that part right. Pork shoulder, which was not very popular cut. Then I can't pronounce his last name, brother of the company executive, won a $100 prize that year in a competition to name the new item. Hormel claims that the meaning of the name is known only by a small circle of former Hormel food executives, but popular belief is that the name is an abbreviation of spiced ham. There you go. Who knows? Special army meat is what some call it. So Spam. It's also a famous Monty Python skit.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah, we were an English family growing up, and it was all from. It was Spam was a UK thing until I moved over here.
As a consequence, it says again, as a consequence of World War II rationing and the Lend-Lease Act, Spam also gained prominence in the United Kingdom. British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher later referred to it as a wartime delicacy. There you go. There's your international Spam. More. Should I name the podcast "Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Spam"?
The picture I have up right there is I went on a state class. So that was just some pictures from the state class. That was all one class.
Nice. In like a class like this, how much did it cost?
$125.
Okay. For an evening, all steak.
Yep.
Take some home?
This one there wasn't. This one we didn't because there was enough people there to eat enough of the meat. That was my second steak class. They had a steak class already, and then came up with this one called the Super Steak. And it had some beef ribs and some other cuts of meat in there, and picanha and a couple others. And they had actually this picture right here. That was the meat for the class.
Mm-hmm.
So
nice.
That was a lot of meat.
Nice. Yeah, looks like you got some good grilled veggies there too.
Yep. All the salsa and stuff that you saw were all made in class. So this salsa here is I think it was a fresh maple salsa. This right here is one of my favorite. Actually, that one might be chimichurri, but I have a recipe in there for something called gremolata in the show notes, and it's similar to chimichurri, but it's Italian, and it's one of my favorite things to make when I'm having red meat, like a tri-tip or tomahawk or.
Looks good.
Yeah, that was again. You never walk out of those classes feeling hungry.
Yeah, no. For sure. Mark, as we're getting short on time here, why wouldn't we wrap up a food? We've been talking about, we're a Home Gadget Geeks kind of thing. So why wouldn't we talk about a dog toy you've come across? I thought this was pretty cool. And a little Kickstarter. We'll show it on the screen here in just a second. What'd you pick up?
So it's a Kickstarter we have a dog that's ball obsessed. And she's home 7-8 hours a day. So, and when I say ball obsessed, she'll actually play by herself with a tennis ball for hours. She'll drop it, stare at it, pounce on it, and chase it. So I love tech. I love gadgets. I love my dog. So there's a Kickstarter for a ball called Gomi that lights up, makes noises, rolls away from the dog, and has an app so you can try and find it when it's done with it. The dog can chew it. You can wash it. It can go downstairs, and it was $90. So I think it's USB chargeable from what I remember. So I'm going to be getting that in the next couple of weeks.
Nice. It's actually going to ship?
Yeah, I filled up my paperwork a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
They raised $213,000 on it.
Wow. What was their goal?
Do
you know?
No, I just know that they managed to make it. And I think this was also on 2 different places. I think it was on Kickstarter and Indiegogo.
Cat might like that thing too.
Yeah, there's a video of the cat chasing it.
Yeah, it might be good. Super, super owner laziness there of hey, just go play. It's like walking your dog on the treadmill.
Yeah. Well, she's 5 years old and she's a Beagle Ridgeback mix, so severe prey instinct, and she can just drive you nuts. Like before we started tonight, she came up here and she had her ball and she tossed the ball underneath my desk. I'm like, you can't be in here right now. But extreme prey instinct and loves to play fetch. So this will hopefully, when we get home, she'll be a little more tired and we can take her for a walk. Because right now, if we take her for a walk for 2 hours, she's still not tired.
Do you think you leave it? She's able to run free during the day, I assume, in the house.
Yeah.
And so she think you'll just play it all day?
It'll probably start and stop.
Okay.
I'm hoping she'll play more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
She tends to love balls more than any other toy.
Yeah.
So, I'm hoping that it'll entertain her.
You'll have to keep us updated on how it goes. That's a super interesting. What does the app do? Oh, you can find it. So you can find it.
Yep. You can tell it. It's like a tile, right? So you can tell it beep so I can know where you are.
Yeah, because they'll inevitably drive it under something, right? That's kind of, and then you don't find it until you're moving the couch to vacuum under it 6 months later. If you're not,
we give them Kongs every night with stuff with treats, and typically once a week we're going in the chair trying to find Kongs.
Yeah. No, Mark, thanks for jumping in here tonight. I appreciate it. Good to catch up with you. Just a reminder, not all, and even actually all of what we talked about, plus more, Mark has provided in the show notes. So if you want to pop out there and get some ideas of some things to do, or what have you, there's some links out there. Of course, you saw Mark's pictures. That he has, and this stuff looks delicious. Mark, how long do you think you've been at this? I mean, when you think about serious grilling, how long you been doing this?
I think it's 6 years.
Okay, so not terribly long.
No, but 6 years and 7 grills.
Well,
I have 4 grills left, but I bought 7 grills over 6 years.
Yeah, but you've been kind of growing into your grills, right? It's kind of, you've been buying them because you wanted different things with them, right?
Yeah, it's now 8 grills because I bought the Uni, which is kind of a grill.
Yeah,
it's 6 or 7 years. It was because I was on vacation chatting with Mike Howard about grills when you saw us having a conversation on the Facebook post, and you're like, we need to have the start of this. We need to have a barbecue show.
Yeah.
So I think it was 4 years ago. And I think I've been grilling about 2 years before that.
Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, you've really kind of done a lot of it. You've grown into it. You've taken a lot of classes around it. You've spent some time. I don't think, and I'm kind of your average griller. I've got a single grill. I would like to pick up charcoal, so I just need to do that at some point.
You should have bite the bullet.
No, I know. It's just it's so stupid about that kind of stuff. So you don't have to buy 4 grills to be in this. You can kind of get it. You can do it in the oven, sear it differently. You can do it inside all winter. We did steak inside this year. We did a lot of pan steak that it's really delicious. And Gordon Ramsay's got some great videos on how to butter baste a steak. It's pretty.
I've never done that.
It's super great.
Because I look at it and I can do that, or I can fire up the Weber and just do it on the charcoal.
No, I know, but it's pretty. When it's cold outside, or you just don't want to go outside, like it's a million freaking degrees out there right tonight. Yeah. Pretty great to do it in cast iron. Cast iron. That's one of my favorite. That's still one of my favorites to do. In a good pork chop. cast iron cooked pork chop is really good. That fat.
And I have cast iron. I inherited my mother's cast iron fry pan from the 70s.
Yeah. No, it's the way to do it.
I just tend to do a lot more outside. And as far as the gas, I'm not allowed to have a gas grill anymore. I've been barred from having a gas grill at home.
Why?
Because my wife loves the flavor of wood and charcoal.
Oh, yeah, it is pretty great.
So after having that, she's like, no. I'd like to buy just a small one. She's like, no. You want to do burgers?
It's so easy. It's so easy, though. Just turn it on.
Well, I do that for the Traeger.
Yeah. Oh, true.
If I'm cooking on the Traeger, if I'm doing sausages and burgers, walk up to the Traeger, you turn the dial to 375. The thing fires up like a steam engine.
Yeah.
And then you toss the things onto it, and you have no flare ups, and you have no. It's just the smoke. The cloud of smoke the cloud of smoke on a startup of a pellet grill is. My dad saw it the other day, and he's like, "Your neighbors must really like you." It lasts for about 30 seconds, but for 30 seconds, you can't see the backyard.
Yeah,
you can't see the deck. It just covers the entire deck in a cloud of smoke.
Oh, that's great.
And it all rolls away, and it's burning. It's that initial combustion. It's getting the wood up to the point of flashover where it can actually start igniting itself, and it just smokes a lot for that first couple minutes. So,
pretty cool. Sounds good to me. So, Mark, thanks for coming in. Hang tight for just 1 sec. Let me close some things out. If you came out tonight, I want to thank you for doing that as well. A couple reminders coming up. Edward Weniger is back next week, coming on to kind of catch us up on Bitcoin and all things blockchain. And so he's been doing some interesting things. I felt like where the markets were going with Bitcoin, it might be worth spending some time chatting about it. It's we won't do a post show tonight on that, but it's been interesting couple weeks, big ups and big downs. And so Edward will be back to talk about that. Mike is back next week as well, but then Erin Lawrence is coming back. Mark, I think you're going to like this show. She bought, this custom, she bought this van and has custom the whole thing. And it's going to be sweet. Like, I'm super pumped for this show. She's back on the 8th of August to talk about that. And so that should be a really good show. Erin's just great no matter what. And so it'll be good to have her back. And then Micah is joining us again on the 15th. She's been doing a lot of research around office chairs. Like, she spends a lot of time sitting and stuff. And I think that's one of those tech items maybe we don't spend a lot of time thinking about as the chair. I know Mike Howard spent a lot of time just sitting on a folding. I couldn't believe he did this. He used to podcast for hours on a folding metal chair. And I was like, Mike, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Stop doing that. I think she ended up spending about $300. Office chairs can be super expensive. You can do the Office Max or Office Depot. I mean, they're 3 times more expensive in Canada because that's what everything is. But, we can do an office chair for about $60 to $100 for the real cheap ones. And then the decent ones are $300 or more. So they get
the same.
Yeah. Okay. So Mike is going to come in. She did a bunch of research around that. We're going to talk a little bit about office furniture around using it for tech because we spend so much time sitting down. I'm going to probably bring some research that we've done on standing desks as well during that time. And we'll spend a little time talking about the technology that goes into the office. Don't forget, you can support us on Patreon if that's what you want to do. theaverageguy.tv/Patreon gets you there if you want to join us. $5 plans, and I'll send you one of our green 3D printed Home Gadget Geeks coins. If you support us on Patreon at the $5 level, get those mailed out to you. And thank all of those who did that. They've already received theirs if you support us on Patreon. And appreciate you guys doing that. I appreciate Justin because I said, hey, do you want one, Justin? He's like, look, it's not even worth it to mail it that far. So it is helpful in the United States. I could probably get it to Canada as well. Ron ships them from Canada. But appreciate you guys doing that as well. Don't forget, if you want to update us in some way, you got an idea, something you want to talk about, an email, something follow up on, Jim@theaverageguy.tv gets us there. Don't forget that the AverageGuy.tv platform, both web and media hosted, powered by Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and you trust, and that's Christian. And so we appreciate his sponsorship of the show and Maple Grove Partners. Get more information and plans that start as little as $10 a month. Super cheap to get a lot. Maple maplegrovepartners.com. All one word, maplegrovepartners.com gets you that way as well. Don't forget to download our app if you haven't done it on your iPhone or Android. That way you always have it if you're on the road on a Thursday night, you want to listen live, or you're stuck somewhere and you just want to stream it. HomeGadgetGeeks.com gets that done as well. We'll forego the HelloFresh segment since all we did was talk about food. Just if you want to join HelloFresh, let me know. I've got a coupon to get you free for a week. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. We talked about what's coming up. We're excited for it. Mark, thanks again for being on the program. I appreciate it. We'll be back next Thursday with Edward. And so with that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.
Good night.
Mark, thanks again.
No problem.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that.
I was afraid we weren't going to have enough to talk about, but it never seemed to be a problem.
No, when you showed me the list, so I was at dinner tonight with my friends, and I thought, I better check this list really quick. So they were talking about some stuff, and I pull it up, and I said, "Hey guys, you want to see what we're talking about at Home Gadget Geeks?" And I just kept scrolling up the show notes on my phone. They're like, "Seriously?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do on Home Gadget Geeks." And
you never had a problem filling it up for the barbecue ones.
No, never. We could go 3 hours on that thing for sure.
When we always get you to buy something every time we have one of these sessions. Yeah. The one thing I would recommend you buy is you got to try a jar of this stuff.
Okay.
That's on the screen.
Hold on. Let me. Oops, that's my notes. There we go.
I have 4 jars of this in the house right now. The local barbecue store gets it in.
This is SPG.
Yeah. The local barbecue store gets it in. I go to where I get my classes. The local store gets this in. Excuse me. They sell out. They have stock on every other flavor these guys have, and they sell out of this one.
Can you get it on Amazon?
You could. They don't have it anymore, but you can order it directly from them.
Okay.
And they have a single pack. They have a 4-pack, and I think they have a 6-pack, and you get a free T-shirt with it.
Or a 6-pound bag. Or 25 pounds of bulk.
I would almost consider buying a 6-pound bag. The 1836 is also really good. The one I got the other day was a pork one. The Hogwaller barbecue rub was really good. Lemon pepper is really good. My neighbor loves this 1836. So it's and these aren't, well, the SPG is overly salty because it's salt, pepper, garlic, but they're not like some of the rubs that are just completely salt based. So
let's look. Joe is saying it's on Amazon. So let's just take a look here. SPG seasoning. Because $12 on the site. Yeah, $16.99 for that. It's cheaper to buy it off the site.
I don't see it on Amazon.
Well, are you at CA?
Nope.
I see it here. Hold on, I'll show it.
The same one?
Yep. Here, hold on. Is this let's go.
That's my live page that you're seeing in front of you.
Interesting. Hold on. Let me.
That's very interesting.
I'll share my screen. Here we go. There it is.
Yeah, that's very. I went looking for it tonight because I try and make my list.
Well, it's fine. It's cheaper at their site. Now you have to pay shipping, so it's probably the same price by the time you add in the shipping.
I wonder if Amazon's filtering based on what I can actually get up to.
Oh, that's possible. That's very possible.
Which kind of sucks because I used to buy stuff and just get it shipped to a U.S. post office box.
How far? To the border for you?
An hour and a bit.
Okay, so it's not too bad.
No. But yeah, that stuff is it's funny when you use it, you tend to sneeze because the black pepper tends to go up your nose. And my dad was sitting about 15 feet away from me a couple weeks ago when I used it, and he started sneezing. It just has it's one of those things that a fresh cracked black pepper just goes everywhere.
Yeah.
But their stuff
so
is
delicious,
it's delicious.
It says about the product, slightly spicy, contains black pepper.
Yep.
The taste is simple and delicious. Excellent on beef, chicken, fish, lamb, and vegetables.
So it's just a nice all-round. It's salt and pepper with garlic powder.
Yeah. We bought those salt and pepper that have the, because we're doing so much HelloFresh cooking, and everything's salt and pepper. So we bought them with the little, it's battery operated, grinds it for you. Those are great. We're going to wear them out because we just use them all the time.
The cooking classes I go to, the guy refuses to use pepper grinders and refuses to buy ground pepper, and he makes me do it because he knows that I know the chef now really well.
Yeah.
But he says if he sees me in a class with people that don't know me, he's like, "Oh, Mark," he says, "I need some pepper done," and you take peppercorns and you go to a chopping board and you take the back of your knife and you crush the pepper. You don't grind it. You don't do anything else with it. And if you're lucky, he'll bring out he has a massive soapstone, I think it is, mortar and pestle. And you use that to actually it's a salt block. It's a big, massive mortar and pestle. And you toss your peppercorns in there and you crush your peppercorn by hand.
That'd be the way to do it.
But he does everything by hand.
Yeah. We did peppercorn steak the other night from HelloFresh, and they sent fresh peppers.
Yeah.
And I just put them in a plastic bag and used what did I use?
Meat tenderizer?
No. What did I use? It was something unique. I was like, I've been wanting to use something like this, and I grabbed it and just started. And then you just pour it right out of the bag. That's kind of an easy way to do it too.
If you take just a chopping board and not a butcher knife, but like a chef's knife, like a thick bladed chef knife, put the peppercorn down and you put like 5 or 6 peppercorns and you just push down on it. They just disintegrate.
Yeah. Andrew says he made tofu and mushroom omelets earlier, if that counts. It does count, actually. And I bought, while Sarah was out of town, I bought my own. I got an 8-inch nonstick skillet just for my omelets. And I had been doing those in cast iron on an electric skillet. And then electric range. And we bought a new range. The other one went out, and so we bought a new one. It's glass top. And man, I have had the hardest time figuring out. It's totally different. Like,
yes,
it's way hotter than the coils were before. Way hotter. And
depending on the model, if you try simmering on it, they simmer by duty cycle. So with the coil ones, you had a case of you could give a little bit of power and give a little bit of heat. With the glass top ones, they're on or off. So to give it 10% power, they turn it on for 1 second, off for 10. So you get full power for that 1 second.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to simmer stuff on those.
Yeah. It was. You can see it cycling underneath the pan.
You can hear it. You can hear it click on, click off, and it's.
So I was just burning the crap out of my omelets. Like, I was just burning those because I used to put it on medium and it was perfect. Well, medium was just crushing the omelets. And in the non-stick, it was just burning them right to it. And I wasn't getting enough oil in there. And I mean, I don't know what. I was just doing a ton of things wrong. And I think the problem was, as I'd been cooking omelets almost daily, probably every other day, maybe whatever. And I had that pan really, really sealed up well. Then we started doing HelloFresh and cooking out of those pans a lot more. And I think
stuff out of it.
I think we pulled a lot of stuff out.
You ever done them in the oven?
Omelets?
Yes.
No, but I imagine you could.
Oh, we do them all the time.
Yeah.
If you think about a quiche, right? A quiche is an omelet pie.
Yeah.
So we do in the winter. We tend to do them a lot more, but there's 2 different ways you can do it. One is you start getting the base cooked on top of the stove, and then you toss it in the oven to finish browning the top part of it. So you don't have to flip the omelet. But the other way is you actually do the entire thing in the oven. So you toss all your eggs and your veggies and everything else you want into it, toss it into the oven, and just let the thing sit there.
Mm-hmm.
Like 25 minutes, and you get a really nice puffy omelet.
On a convection, cooking it with convection will work even better. I think
it will, for sure.
Yeah,
we do it with just regular, and it's basically it's a pan quiche.
Yeah. Well, I bought a little. I went to Target and I just bought a little 8-inch non-stick pan that has been great. And I used to do, this has actually been good too, because I used to do 3 egg omelets all the time. That was my game. So put the bacon bits in first and let those simmer until they're just crispy, and then throw the eggs in and some sausage in on top of it, any vegetables or whatever else we have laying around. Because the omelets were always kind of my weekend cleanup. Whatever was in the fridge would get thrown into the omelet, right? Whatever was left over from the week. Well, that 8-inch pan is too small for 3 eggs, and I probably don't need 3 eggs. Like 2 is just fine, right? So it's kind of caused me to cut down a little bit, which is good for me. I've been trying to lose a little bit of weight, and I've been it's been good. And I really, on that electric range, or on the it's electric, but on the glass top, it's like a 2, maybe like a 2.5 on the temp
dial
to get it right. Yeah, if I get it too much hotter, it'll just really burn it, and then it's not soft. It's kind of crusty.
The other thing to look for is we've only had one once, but if you can find an induction top fry pan, it was an aluminum fry. We had one time. It was an aluminum fry pan, and it had a layer of copper inside it, and then it had the fry pan on top of that. So you had like a 1/4 inch of metal laminate before the fry pan. On a stovetop, like glass top stovetop, it distributes the heat really well.
Yeah.
We also bought a Kickstarter fry pan called the Mizen, and that thing's been fantastic.
Oh, well, our Lifetime cookware that we bought 25 years ago, that's been great, is got that, it's got a stainless steel on the outside. It's got that covers cast iron, and then it's got some aluminum, it's got these, a bunch of different metals to kind of take it to really be a even cooking surface, no matter what you're on. And so that Lifetime cookware cooks really, really well. When we do rice, or when we make couscous, or, any of those kinds of things, it works great because it distributes that heat so evenly. But in the cast iron, it's spotty, and you got to kind of that's another one of those things. You got to kind of bring that cast iron up a little bit slower. I'm kind of a little impatient, like turn it on and throw it in, and you're like, actually, cast iron is best if it kind of warms up and gets to a constant temperature first, and it'll hold it for a long time, right?
You got to do more barbecue and learn to slow down.
I know. I'm so afraid of overcooking things. This is my problem. Is I get so paranoid of I'm going to overcook it.
Well, I like my food being on the edge of, like, we do sausage on the grill. I use my meat probe thermometer. It's I want my sausage to be 165 degrees. I don't want it to be 190.
Right.
I want the one that's nice and juicy. And
right on. I just
burgers and chicken and everything.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I mean, since you guys have taught me to cook by temperature. Yes. By the way, I cook completely different because of this podcast now, because of these times we spend together. I used to cook to feel, and now I cook to temperature. Completely different, right? Completely different way to cook.
And it's safer, realistically, because the probe you're getting, what you pay for a good temperature probe now is nothing. And they're so easy to verify. Like, you can't calibrate them, but you can verify. Boil a pot of water, stick the probe into it. Is it 100 degrees Celsius or 212 Fahrenheit? I think it is.
Yeah. Yep. I think
so. That's real simple. Put it in a glass of ice water. Is it 32 Celsius Fahrenheit or 0 Celsius? Okay, I got my range. If it's close to those two values, you're going to be safe for anything you want to eat.
Yeah, no, but I'm still paranoid that I'm going to overcook food, and so I'm fast, and if I could get my temperatures down, this is what I need to work on. If I can get my temperatures down, I don't need to worry about that. And I just cook too hot, oftentimes.
Andrew's asking if I was the one. I didn't do this.
No, that was Ryan. That was Ryan Parker that did.
I have a sous vide. I don't use it a lot. I don't like it for red meat, so I'm kind of funny. Everybody that I know has it, loves doing steaks and stuff in them. I would rather smoke it and do a reverse sear on the smoker and the grill than sous vide it. I love it for fish. I love it for chicken. I've done dulce de leche in it. We did that at Christmas. We made our own dulce de leche, and that was phenomenal. And
have you always been a foodie, or is this just something in the last 5-6 years you've kind of
as an adult? I have as an adult, but I don't like going to restaurants for foodie. I don't like going to the ultra gourmet.
No, but you yourself, you make gourmet stuff at home.
We like it. Yeah. We like to play around with it. We'll go and buy stuff just to try something out, right? Like a pasta roller to make our own pasta.
What's that?
Confit, I think is I think it was jellied. Is it jellied food?
Yeah. Everybody's like, "What's that?"
I'm not that much of a foodie. I equate how I like food to how people like art. Right? It's something that you like or you don't like. It could be something that other people love, and
Duck. It's duck meat. Yeah.
it's partly duck. They do a duck confit, but you can get other types of confit, I think.
Oh, duck or other meat slowly cooked in its own fat. That's the
Yeah.
definition of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For hours. Yeah, I know somebody. I've reading something online that a guy did a steak in a sous vide for 48 hours. You're talking about having to wait for your
That's a
dinner.
commitment. that's
You're planning
that's
Friday
longer.
planning Friday for Sunday's dinner.
That's longer than some people have been married.
Yeah, I'm not that level of stuff. Like we enjoy nice food, good food, simple food. Like one of our favorite salads is arugula with Parmesan, lemon juice, and olive oil.
Yeah,
and it's a lemon Parmesan salad, and it's
yeah.
very simple. We love when you go. We've been to Italy once. We want to go back again. The way they eat over there is like not in the major center, but in the villages and stuff. When you go get a sandwich, or you go to stop off at a cafe, just there's nice, simple, easy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the type of stuff we love to do.
Yeah, no, super good. I have discovered, like, I don't know why I have not ever eaten enough green onions in my life, and HelloFresh uses those a lot, but they just, I really like. We've added them to a lot of different things, and some jasmine rice with a little bit of garlic and some green onions thrown in. It's during the cooking cycle, just changes everything. A little couscous. Throw some of that, garnish it with a little rice, garnished with green onions at the end. Like, I know this has been in my Chinese food forever, but lately,
A little bit of sharpness and a little bit of crunch.
Yeah, no, really, like I'm thinking like adding it to my salads. Like these green onions are pretty great, and it was the long, for the long skinny onions that you would get. We just call them green onions, right?
Yeah, they're called spring onions in England.
Okay, yeah, spring. And HelloFresh always has us separate the whites and the greens. We cook the whites, throw the greens on as garnish. But it's more than a garnish for me. I have really kind of, and couscous is another. I never would have eaten couscous if we hadn't done HelloFresh.
We do a lot of couscous with just pickled vegetables. So couscous with roasted red peppers, capers, mushrooms, all artichoke, hearts of palm, and like a lemon vinaigrette.
That's lemon is another thing. I haven't taken advantage of enough of always having limes and lemons around at the end.
We just buy the bottle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But there's something magic about.
Yeah, if we have a quick meal, we'll do it with a zest and everything else.
Yeah.
But if we were just making a quick salad, like the stuff you have in your fridge at 5 o'clock at night, I got to make a salad. We have bottles of lemon juice and lime juice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can do it that way. Justin says couscous made with stock rather than water equals fantastic. Yeah. Yes. It's Mark. It's for years we just fed our kids. It was 5 kids and just a lot of things to do, and we made a lot of casseroles, and we did some things that way. But we never really cooked. We cooked for calories, not for quality. Right?
You're cooking for a team.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just trying to get food on the table, right? These kids are just eating anything, and they're not really interested in the frilly stuff. And now that we've been doing it, and even making sauces, jelly sauces, hot jelly sauces, and pork tenderloins with different kinds of sauce in it, and getting a lot more fresh garlic in in there.
Speaking of garlic, have you watched the Netflix documentary called Rotten? Watch that, and then you'll never buy pre-peeled and pre-made garlic again.
Really?
Yes.
Why? Because I probably won't watch it.
Most of the garlic that we have over here comes from China.
Okay.
The pre-peeled stuff they get prisoners to make.
Oh.
the prisoners are losing their nails from trying to peel the garlic, so they toss the garlic cloves into their mouth to try and help. So you hear that, and you'll never again buy processed garlic or pre-peeled garlic ever again. It's pretty disgusting to watch it.
Thanks for ruining that for me.
You can still buy California garlic. You can still buy garlic from all over the rest of the world.
Yeah, but they ship the garlic they ship to us is ready to go in plastic, and I'm sure that's coming from.
You can always replace it. And saying fresh is better. Anyways,
Yeah,
we do a garlic. We do a homemade Caesar salad that we used to always use. The little garlic jars you get that are diced garlic in a jar.
Yeah,
we used to always use that in the dressing. Yeah. One time we used fresh garlic in it, and it was night and day.
Yeah,
flavor profile was just amazing.
No, you're probably right.
So it's using some of those things fresh is just no comparison to
no
bottled.
You're now I'm grossed out.
It was one of the chefs at that cooking class that told me about it, and then we watched it, and we haven't bought peeled Chinese garlic since.
Yeah, I'm gonna send an email to HelloFresh. Say, where are you getting I want to know where you get your garlic from.
Hopefully it's from California.
Yeah.
They're an American company. They should be trying to push California.
So Ken is saying, garlic from Gilroy. So I grew up in San Jose, and Gilroy is just an hour south. And so then we lived in Salinas, which is actually between San Jose and, Gilroy was between, and you could, was between Salinas and San Jose. And so we'd go visit my parents. We'd go through Gilroy all the time, and you can smell the garlic. Like when you drive through Gilroy, you're like, oh, there it is. And they really do. I mean, they make so much of the world's garlic there that they grow so much of the world's garlic there in Gilroy.
There's a place 40 minutes from here that every fall has a garlic festival. So they have all different sorts of garlic.
Justin says you can pre-prepare chopped crushed garlic a couple of weeks in advance anyway, and just put it in a jar with oil. Not a real fan of any food from China. This is Joe. Yeah, not me either. After Mark told me that, I'm gonna send HelloFresh an email tonight. Hey, where do you get your garlic from? Because it's terribly convenient. It comes in a plastic bag. Just cut it open, drop it out, and then I take the chopper, the HelloFresh chopper, and just go, and it just minces it perfectly. Perfectly. Wipe that off. Go in there. Get the stuff wiped off. Just put it in there and cook it up.
It's a little bit of nice skills, and you can do that easily with fresh garlic.
No, I know, but it was just super easy.
Yeah,
just
I know. It's the Tuesday night meal versus a Saturday night meal.
Yeah,
actually, we found a recipe. We should almost do a post on either on Discord or on Facebook if anybody still uses it. But we found a recipe for a 25-minute fresh pasta sauce, tomato sauce online that we made probably a dozen times this winter. That was just, it was phenomenal. It was simple and it was easy. And it was just canned tomatoes, onion, garlic, salt, pepper, and you simmer it down and you pour it on pasta.
Yeah.
And tasty. Like it just tastes like truly fresh tomato sauce.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be opposed, if I was, and we're trying to get to this point, we're using HelloFresh for now, but I think we're hoping at some point to get to a point where we've picked enough meals that we really like, and then figure out ways to shop smartly for those things.
Yep.
And how do you keep the right things on hand so that you're always kind of ready to go. And you've got, in this case, your garlic's prepped and ready to go, or, and or on the weekend, one weekend a month, you're peeling all your garlic and storing it. Right. So you get, just as an example, right. Just as an example. So then you're picking up one of the things, in the United States, we've really lost is the concept of a fresh market. And so, even our grocery stores you go into, and the vegetable selection is just so poor in many cases. And the quantities you buy this stuff in is ridiculous. You're like, a head of celery, I don't need that much celery in most cases. I need half or a quarter of that. Right?
Yeah. We're two in the house.
Yeah. Right.
So
Us too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things. You're like, oh, okay, what do I do with this? Well, you get creative with it, right? You use it, one night. Although the other night we bought asparagus, and I think I bought 2 bundles of it and divided those into 3, and then wrapped those in bacon. And that was perfect for the 2 of us. So, I guess I've also kind of gotten into cutting my own pineapple. So, fresh pineapple core, cut that out, slice it down, throw it in. We either core it or grill it, or just eat it fresh, and it's super great. Watermelon this time of year. I've only eaten 1 watermelon this whole year. I need to get out. It used to be when we'd shop every week, you'd see the watermelon there. You just pick it up. Okay, it's $3, right? $4, whatever. Pick up a watermelon. Last a couple days in the house. So it's easy with HelloFresh. It's been easy to not have to go to the store at all.
You pay for the convenience.
Yeah, it's a little more expensive for that, but it has introduced us to some new things that I think we need to figure out ways to. I don't want to do it forever, although it's terribly convenient, and they've got really good recipes.
You're talking about gourmet. Justin's a gourmet.
Is he?
Read through some of his comments. He's making homemade charcuterie. So that's homemade cured meats.
Yeah.
That takes dedication.
Yeah.
Parting out chickens. Like, I've done it. It's a bit of work to part out a chicken. Prepping garlic. He talked about the confit before too.
Ken is coming to my side. He says, garlic's strong enough to kill any germs.
My dad can't eat garlic, so we got to tailor food around his stuff. But if he's not around, we make my dad's with us a lot because he's doing that remodel. So
right,
he lives right now an hour and a half away from us. He's remodeling a house 20 minutes away from us. So 3 nights a week he stays with us, and the other 4 nights a week he goes home.
And you guys, he can't have garlic?
He doesn't like garlic.
Okay.
Gives him indigestion badly. Yeah. So
that'd be good to get whole chickens and do it that way. That's another good way.
And I don't like chicken breast. We tend to buy, now for buying processed ones, we tend to go and buy the chicken thighs versus the breasts. And we'll get them skin on and bone in and cook them up on the grill. And again, because we're using the Traeger, you just toss them on, you walk away, you come back half an hour later, they're done. There's no flare-ups, there's no fires, and then what we do is let them cool down a bit. We skin them, debone them once they're cooked. So you get the juice and everything from the skin and the bones. Peel them off by hand when you can actually handle them. The meat falls off the bones. Then we bag the meat up into Ziploc or freezer bags. And then we put in the freezer for if we're making a pasta, we can toss in some chicken into the pesto.
Mm-hmm. Man, Justin is just like ruining my night. He's like, garlic's also a prime vector for botulism. Jeez.
It can be. Depending how it's handled.
Yeah, I think, and he's saying thighs are much better. I think thighs cooked right they're a little more flavorful.
Yeah,
a little more flavorful for sure. We have definitely, Americans, or maybe the world, has gotten addicted to chicken breasts, right? And that white meat. There's so many things you can do with it. Thighs and legs are actually tastier, I think.
Yeah, I find the white meat drier.
Yeah, we got to do more to it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's great. It's like white milk, but you got to just do more to it to kind of keep it. Yeah. Listen, I can cook a chicken breast, and keep it at the right temperature, and that thing will just melt in your mouth. And it takes a little bit of work, so
it's easy to do thighs when you're out there because they tend to be juicier up front. You don't have to worry about being exactly the right temperature. Just have Justin on one night talking about food.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to. Justin, you're gonna have to. You might have to start filling in for Mike Howard on this thing. Joe says Americans have rock guts. Yeah. Well, it's this is like, I think I'm going to do a little study on garlic of my own, and like, how do I want to, I do want to get to the point, Mark, where I'm producing more of these things as close to clean as possible, right? As close to the is close to the ground or the source or whatever. And so if I can buy fresh, in this case, if I can buy fresh garlic cloves, process them in a way that is safe and proper and tasty for the most part. Let's just say to keep the taste kind of thing in them. Do it that way, in a way that makes sense, that I can store them and do them. No, then I'd much rather do that. I think we're going to move at some point, and a big kitchen is kind of going to be a component, I think, in our next place to give us some more space to do some of those kinds of things.
Hopefully in a couple of years, but it's going to be turning a quarter of our main floor into a
kitchen. Justin says, if you're concerned about garlic, which I'm not, don't even look at honey.
That's another one. The amount of mixing that goes into honey as to where it comes from versus in Canada, there's a huge thing about losing our Canadian honey producers because they're getting offshore honey and mixing it in Canada with like 2%, 3% honey and saying it's Canadian, but it's 97% offshore.
Yeah, we have a local provider that we can get local in Nebraska, just grown, 10 miles. Excuse me, down the this is gonna get out of hand. We're gonna eat nothing pretty soon.
Syrup. If you go maple syrup, you're safe.
Yeah, no, that's one of those things. I watch, there's a couple kibi enthusiasts that I watch on YouTube that it's pretty cool. And I thought, I wish I could have my own bees. That'd be pretty great, right? Just
my cousin does it in New Zealand. The honey she gets, is it Kaluka honey? I think they call it. And they're charging $55 for a quart, I think it is up here, and that's a deal. And she was going to give me a quart, but we couldn't get it from New Zealand to Canada with my dad because he was going through Australia and they don't let you import anything.
Do you guys get good maple syrup?
Oh yeah.
You get it from the area?
A guy I know that makes it. Nice. I used to be able to get a 40-ouncer whiskey bottle of maple syrup for $17 Canadian. And it looked just like whiskey. Dark. It was he made it. He was a manager at a store he used to work with. They used to travel around the region, and he was one of the managers at one of the places. And he would do it. They would only make maybe 40 or 50 bottles a year, and he'd sell it for $17 a bottle.
Is that pretty good?
It was phenomenal. Yeah. That bottle should have been $40, $50.
Yeah, and you can taste it. Oh my god, you're like, oh my god,
it was a color. It was in a Weiser whiskey bottle, and it looked like Weiser's whiskey. Dark.
Oh, so much food and so little time. So little time to do it right. You got
to take your time. It's got to be something that you actually. Now, again, I keep on going back to the pellet grills. It's turned me into a bit of a lazy barbecuer because I don't have to worry about it. You toss stuff on there and just let the thing go.
Yeah, it's just planning, right? Planning and prep to have it. If you're listening live, I'm going to cut you guys off. I want to try and get this file at least processing before the end of the night. Mark, you hang tight for 1 second. Guys, a lot of fun tonight. I enjoyed these. These are always one of my favorite shows to do. I know it's not always tech, but it's super great. So I appreciate you guys coming out tonight. My favorite, I'm always skeptical, Mark, that we're going to actually get anybody to chat about this, but
2 hours later,
the chat room is very engaged in this. So some good foodies. We'll have to tap into that a little bit. And Justin, maybe I need to get you on the podcast. We'll see you guys next week. And Edward's back, and I think Mike's back as well. We'll see you guys. Mark, hang tight for me.